Trump has phoned leaders from the Middle East, informing them of his plans to relocate the mission from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Recognition of Jerusalem as the Israeli capital would be a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy. Jordan plans to convene a meeting of the Arab League and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation next weekend to discuss the move. And Saudi King Salman has told Trump that the move will inflame tensions if done before a peace settlement has been reached. Now, let's take a closer look at the history behind this. The current U.S. embassy is in Israel's second biggest city and the financial capital, Tel Aviv. It's been there since it opened in 1966. Moving it to Jerusalem would break decades of American policy, which has been to allow the disputed city's status to be decided in negotiations. Currently, no country has its main diplomatic mission in Jerusalem. Like the U.S., they're all in Tel Aviv. Palestinians see East Jerusalem as the head of their future state, but Israel has occupied it for 50 years and claims the entire city as its united and eternal capital. Jerusalem's status is one of the most sensitive issues at the center of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Now, let's go to Giles Gibson, who is in Washington for us. Thanks so much for joining us, Giles. Now, what's the latest from Washington on when President Trump will make an announcement on Israel?
Well, we've just had a briefing from Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's the White House press secretary here in Washington, and she gave us some details about when we can expect an announcement on this, but not really any details about what exactly that announcement will actually be. Sarah Huckabee Sanders told White House reporters in the White House press corps just under an hour ago, actually, that there will be remarks by President Trump on Wednesday local time here in Washington, a big announcement about U.S. policy towards Israel. And we also heard from Sarah Huckabee Sanders that President Trump is solid in his thinking about this announcement, although she wouldn't reveal any details about this. Really, throughout the day, we've been having reports from leaders inside the region who Donald Trump has been holding telephone conversations with, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, as well as the Jordanian king, and officials from both of those places have been saying that President Trump has told those leaders that he is planning on moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv, where it's been for many years, into Jerusalem, thereby recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, which the United States has never, ever done before. But at this stage, we haven't had any confirmation from American sources about whether Donald Trump is planning to make that announcement, even though Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, has told us there will be some sort of an announcement.
OK. And, Giles, why would Donald Trump decide on this controversial and inflammatory move?
Well, that's certainly the big question here in Washington. There is a very strong pro-Israel lobby here in Washington and across the United States, so there could certainly be pressure on Donald Trump from political donors, for example, from people within his Republican Party. He's also a very close ally of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister. Netanyahu was actually in Washington. He was one of the first foreign leaders to visit President Trump here in Washington. And, of course, Israel is one of America's closest allies. But really, alongside that, there could be a considerable backlash if the United States does go and recognize Jerusalem as somehow as Israel's official capital. I'll just give you a list of the countries and international bodies who so far have at least expressed some sort of concern about this. Turkey, Jordan, Egypt, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Saudi Arabia, the Arab League, France and the European Union have all in the last few days at least expressed some sort of concerns about the repercussions of this possible decision. But as I say, we should hear more about the actual details of it on Wednesday local time here in Washington.